There were a lot of disappointing teams in 2021. Today, I'm going to be sorting out the 3 most disappointing teams. And before we get started, if you guys want to hit that subscribe button, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm posting plenty of baseball content over here, so if you are a big baseball fan, hit that subscribe button. Now, let's get into these 3 teams. Coming in at number 3, the 3rd most disappointing team of 2021, I'm going with the Twins. Expectations were high for Minnesota as they came off a playoff berth in 2020. They had a stacked lineup that consisted of players like Josh Donaldson, Jorge Polanco, Byron Buxton, Luis Arias, Miguel Sano, and many others. And it looked like they had a clear-cut ace in Kenta Maeda, who pitched to a 2.7 ERA in his first season in Minnesota. And coming into 2021, a lot of people were predicting the Twins to challenge the White Sox in the American League Central. The Twins were projected to win 88 games this year, and things were just looking up. But things went completely south. They finished the season at 73-89, leaving them 15 games under their preseason projection of 88. They never had a stable closer all season long, as Alex Colomé racked up 18 saves, but he had a 4.15 ERA. And offensively, players just didn't perform. And I understand they had Josh Donaldson and Jorge Polanco put together some pretty solid offensive years, but outside of that, there was not much offense. Max Kepler finished the season hitting only .211, and this is just a huge disappointment considering expectations were high for him. Byron Buxton played extremely well, but the problem is he did not play too much at all. And Miguel Sano does basically nothing but hit home runs. So it's safe to say it was a pretty disappointing season in Minnesota. I have them coming in as the 3rd most disappointing team of 2021. Coming in at number 2 for the 2nd most disappointing team of 2021, I'm going with the New York Mets. Now, the Mets were projected to win 91 games in the preseason, but they only ended up winning 77. And this is in big part to players that have played very well in the past just not showing up this season or simply just being injured all year. Francisco Lindor, who has been known to be one of the best shortstops in the game, hit .230 this year in 125 games. Jeff Mcneal, who up to this point in his career had never hit below 300 in a season, hit only .249 this year. Dom Smith, who hit .316 last year, only hit .244 this year. And it took Smith only 50 games to hit 10 home runs last year, where it took him 145 this year to hit 11. Smith's OPS also dropped from .993 in 2020 to .667 this year. And in terms of the starting rotation, Jacob deGrom, Carlos Carrasco, and Noah Syndergaard really just were on and off the field all season long. And things were looking up for New York in the preseason. As I said before, they were projected to win 91 games. People were really picking them over Atlanta to win the NL East. But unfortunately for New York fans, it was a massive disappointment this year. When you take into account the injuries to key players and other key players just underperforming, it is a recipe for disaster. Now, getting into the most disappointing team of 2021, I'm sure it comes as no surprise, it's the San Diego Padres. The Padres weren't necessarily too bad offensively this year. Their star hitters showed up as Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado both had great seasons. Jake Cronenworth also had an all-star caliber year. Trent Grisham wasn't great, but you're not expecting a ton out of him. Will Myers, the same deal. Eric Hosmer was a player who started off on fire, but really just cooled off as the season went on. The downfall of the Padres was their starting rotation. In the starting rotation, the Padres really only had one consistent good pitcher all year in Joe Musgrove, who pitched to a 3.18 ERA and had 200-plus punch-outs. But outside of Musgrove, there was no production in the starting rotation. Blake Snell, one of the better pitchers in the game over the past couple seasons, pitched to a 4.2 ERA. Yu Darvish, San Diego's huge acquisition in the offseason, pitched to a 4.22 ERA. Chris Paddock, who had a massive rookie season, has just not been the same since. This year, he pitched to a 5.07 ERA. Dinelson Lamet, who had a very good season last year, only pitched to a 4.4 ERA this year, and he really wasn't even in the starting rotation. He was injured to start the year and played most of the season out of the bullpen. Ryan Weathers, who is still very young and you can't expect a ton out of him, pitched to a 5.32 ERA. So really, every single starter underperformed in this rotation other than Joe Musgrove. And another thing I want to take note of here with San Diego is that they started at 67-49, and this was well on their preseason projection of 95 wins. But since then, they went 12-34 down the stretch and finished the season off at 79-83, good for third place in the NL West. And some of the blame here for San Diego's collapse down the line has to be on Jace Tingler, the manager. No good manager is going to let a team of this caliber fall that much down the stretch and just fall completely out of the race. I understand there was a ton of injuries down the stretch, but any good manager would make the proper adjustments and keep them somewhat close to the postseason. But the Padres did end up firing Jace Tingler. But all in all, just a massive down year for San Diego. Many people were picking them to dethrone the Dodgers at the top of the National League West. I was one of them. I thought San Diego was really going to just come out firing this year. I thought they were going to win the NL West, but clearly that just did not happen. Padres have to be the most disappointing team of 2021. A couple of other honorable mentions here as well are the Arizona D-backs and the Washington Nationals. The D-backs finished 24 games under their preseason projection, and the Washington Nationals finished 20 games under theirs. But I don't recognize these teams as disappointing as the three that we talked about today, simply because these teams were expected to be bad, but they were just worse. In terms of these three teams that I talked about today, they finished bad, but they were expected to be good. But anyways, that's going to wrap today's video up. Let me know what you guys think down below, who you think your three most disappointing teams were of this season. I'd love to see what you guys think. As always, I want to thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.